Hello, dear friends. Good evening to all of you who are sitting at your homes in the world, all around the world. I'm so glad to have you here on the third day of our Brazilian talk show. It's wonderful to find out and to know that you are there at your home, taking part in all of the activities of the program Made in Brazil talk show. Welcome, welcome to all of you. Well, due to the pandemic, I have to share with you that we are now following up all of the guidelines recommended by the WHO and also by our local authorities. So I'm here by myself at the studio. That's why I'm not wearing a mask. And that's why I'm far away from our cameraman. And so as soon as we receive the first guest, we're going to put on our masks so that we can protect ourselves and until the end of Expo Zebu so that we can protect everybody near you, close to you, from the Zebu's home. And we are arriving at your homes and at your offices from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. So let's continue with our program. I have to share with you that besides our program Made in Brazil Talk Show and Made in Brazil Farm Tour that we present at 1 p.m. here, Brasilia time, we also have a virtual business round taking place throughout this week. It is our participants from the Brazilian Cattle Project, salespeople from inputs, live animals, breeders. They are offering their products. They are setting up business meetings with buyers from all over the world. So if you are interested in getting together with any of the members of the Brazilian cattle, we are totally at your disposal. So get in touch with us via our WhatsApp number 55. It is the code of Brazil 3499802561. We are waiting for your call. Thank you. And so, obviously, I cannot forget to make a special thanks, and I do this every day, and today is not going to be different. We have to thank in a special way Apex Brazil that allows us and gave us this opportunity to be with you in the four corners of the world and to take to you our Zebu livestock production, and to all of the tropical countries, all of our colleagues and partners, so that we can produce more and better every single day in a more efficient and sustainable way. Okay, in order for us to be able to start today's work, we're going to start with our panel. And for me, it's the one that fascinates me more. It is the technology panel, okay? It is the We've Got Technology panel. And so, as a zootechnician and as a juror, I have to share with you that I'm really, really happy now, and I'm here anxious to receive a team of experts to deal with this topic, discuss this topic, and I love it, and I'm sure you love it too. And so, we cannot miss out on having, oh, okay, what is essential for a good cattle mating? And to coordinate all of this work with me, I need to call my master, our master, Mr. Luiz Antonio Josaquian. He is the technical superintendent of the ABCZ. Hello, Luiz Antonio. Welcome to our home, to our studio. Mr. Josaquian is a zoo technician. He has a degree from the university called FASU. He has a master's degree in genetic improvement by the UFVE, and so it's a great honor for us to receive you, okay? Let's go. And so our other guests, they're going to be with us, but only virtually, only online, okay? And before anything else, I have to put on my mask, and so let's move on in our new motto, in our new way of life. So let's continue the work. So where are our guests? Oh, okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce. Good evening. So I would like to introduce virtually, we have here with us Mr. Henrique Ventura. He is a zoo technician. He has a doctorate degree and a postdoctorate degree in animal genetic improvement. He has vast experience in genetic evaluation and genomic evaluation, and he works mostly with Zebu breeds at the ABCZ. Hello, Henrique, welcome. Thank you, Isi. Good evening to all. And now we would like to invite Mr. Célio Arantes Haim. Hello, Celinho. This is how we call him in an endearing way. He has a degree in veterinary from the Federal University of Paraná. He is an expert in judging zebu cattle, okay? And he has been an effective juror of the ABCZ, and he has already analyzed and evaluated 94,773 animals, okay, in a total of 438 exhibits in Brazil and abroad. He is also a field technician working for the ABCZ, and he also offers assistance and support and also solutions for the genetic improvement of our animals. Hello, Salim, welcome. Hello, good afternoon to all, okay? Josaquian, Isi, Henrique, Célio, hello. Now we have Mr. Fábio Miziara. Hello, Fábio, good evening. He is a zootechnician. He has a degree from the university called FAZU. He is a member of the juror collegiates of the Zebu and Gyr breeds. He is a member of the deliberative council of the ABCZ, and so he was the superintendent, the technical superintendent of the Brazilian Brahman Breeders Association, and he has vast international experience in assessing and evaluating mating processes. Okay, hello, Fábio. Good evening. How are you? Fábio, can you hear us? Fábio, can you hear us? Hello, good evening, Isi. How are you? Welcome. Hello, Josaquian, Mr. Henrique, Célio. Hello, Mr. João Marcos. It's a great honor to be here participating and discussing the topic, what is essential for a good cattle mating? This is wonderful for us. Welcome also to João Marcos Cruvinel Machado Borges. Mr. João Marcos is a veterinarian. He has a degree from the University of Uberaba, and he belongs to the consultancy group IP Ouro, and he has helped with 50 genetic improvement jobs in Brazil and in Bolivia. He also offers consultancy to improve cattle mating. Okay, good evening, João Marcos. Good evening, Mr. Josaquian, Henrique, Célio Haim, Fábio Miziara. It's a great pleasure to be here, and good evening to everybody who is watching us. Hello. Good evening to all. We are very, very happy, and I'm personally very, very happy to have our master, Mr. Josaquian, and all of you participating in this topic and discussing a topic that we are passionate about, okay? So let's start by listening to our master, Mr. Josaquian. Okay, I would like to pass the floor to you, Mr. Luiz Antônio Josaquian. So what is essential for a good cattle mating? What would you like to share with us? Thank you so much for the invitation. Good evening, Henrique, Célio, Fábio, João Marcos. Good evening, João Marcos. Good evening to everybody who is listening to us. It's a great honor to be here, especially because we are sharing this wonderful topic with people who are very, very good and competent. They are experts, Henrique, Célio, Fábio, João Marcos. So this is the topic that we are discussing. So what is essential for an excellent cattle mating or a good cattle mating? So I would like to make a few remarks, a few initial remarks. so that we have topics to discuss, because we have many things to discuss, but the selection itself is a human decision to say which animals are going to produce the next generation. So there is a human interference in this process. And so which animals are going to leave their genesis for the future, genes, pardon me, for the future, and which animals are not. And so we can do many things. We can do a lot before an egg receives the sperm, okay? Before it receives the sperm. So we have to use all the tools at our disposal so that we can have excellent mating, excellent cattle matings, okay? And so the first thing is to understand your system, your production system, because there is not a single solution. You don't have only one bull, you don't have only one cow. You have to understand, where are you now? What are your production conditions? And how much can you interfere in the system? How much can you invest to change this environment so that you can have return on your investment? When you see that, and when you see your client, your market very well, you can say, I know where I am, I know what I can produce, and I know what my clients want from me. So if you carry out this diagnostics or diagnosis, and so, well, relatively simple, you can establish your mating or breeding objectives. I want to produce, I want to improve, I want to have male cattle with high libido, I want to have heifers that are like this, like that. And so you can establish all of your parameters, and then directly answering your question and telling your friends what is essential for a good mating. So the genetic evaluations, because they are forecasts, the visual evaluations, because the genetic evaluations do not encompass all of the characteristics, the functionality, the breeds. The breeds, they can ensure to you that they're going to have similar behavior because of their genotypical similarity. And beside the genetic evaluations and the visual evaluations, high knowledge, vast knowledge of the decision maker regarding the mating, and that decision is going to change that group. And so some things are you can only learn with experience, with many years doing this. And so basically, it would be these three: genetic evaluations, visual evaluations, and vast knowledge of the person who is making the decisions about this cattle mating. And finally, I would like to say that I'm going to say humility. We must be humble and to recognize that regarding the future, we can only forecast a few things, but we cannot set it in stone. And so we have to do this, but sometimes we're going to have variations that are beyond our control. That's why it's a continuous process, a construction. So each generation you add a brick, and then you add a brick and another brick, and so on and so forth. This is how I see it. This is how I understand. And now I want to listen to my masters, because I'm not a master. Okay, but he has already given us some wonderful tips and pointers. And so, Celinho, you would like to go first, right? Okay. And even because of my connection, my internet connection and my computer, I believe I should go first. So knowing the herd, knowing the cattle, the foundation of this herd, the components, the characteristics, how this herd is, the database that you have accessible to you, the genetic database, the technician can assess this herd, evaluate this herd to see what are the most impacting characteristics. And you have to remember morphology, correction, balance, the breed, and then you can use the new technologies, as Josaquian mentioned to us, I'm sorry, my internet connection, I got disconnected for a few minutes. So you have to know your herd well. You have to carry out a morphological evaluation. Are they good for dairy? Are they good for beef? Are they good for this, for that? But we always must respect the breed, the morphology, the balance, and they are our guide into the future. In the past, these were the only things we used. Before we had this assessment or evaluation of the pedigree, we analyze, okay, so how does this breed work? And so you could imagine the cows that had certain characteristics and the cattle. So this is an idea to start well, to start your herd well, to know it well, to see which bulls or sires they fit in best to pass on the pedigree, and also a genetic analysis and the genomes. Yes, Celine, we have to understand our environment, we have to understand what we have in our hands, and so this is the path ahead. Okay, who is going to be the next one to make remarks? Me, I would like to say a few words. Yes, Henrique, go ahead. It's very interesting for us to bear in mind that this information, in order for us to use them correctly, the genetic evaluations, we need to know how to interpret this information. And there is a certain deficit in the understanding of what is published as genetic evaluation. They talk little about accuracy, they talk little about the possibility of changes, and so we need to work more in the educational aspect to show people what this is, what that is, and demystify that, okay, the EPDs, they are not something that have happened out of the blue. After the pedigree registration, after the collection of phenotypes, be it the weighing, the analysis of the carcass, the evolution, and we have to reinforce and emphasize that we need to carry out a morphological evaluation. This is not within the EPDs, as Professor Josakian said. We need to continue evaluating the morphology in a very strict way, but it is essential for us to use the EPDs, because the quantitative characteristics that are characterized by the genes, that are impacted by the environment. And so when you add the visual evaluation, you may make a mistake, okay? Okay, and so mainly those connected to the morphological evaluations. So the technicians that have vast experience, who know the herds well, for those characteristics, they are aces, they are amazing. But we need the EPDs so that we can assess the weight, the reproduction mainly, the carcass. So it is a tool that is only here to add value, to help us out. And the ideal for us to be successful, as our friends have mentioned, to use everything to the best of our abilities. And I would like to emphasize in terms of the genetic evaluation, that we need a better understanding of what is an EPD. And so sometimes there is a deficiency in the understanding of what an EPD is. And we technicians, it is our duty to explain to everybody so that we can demystify everything related to the EPD. They are not numbers that are not connected to reality. No, 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 it's quite the opposite. And we're trying to show people that the EPDs, they can show the future characteristics, the reproduction characteristics, that is highly acceptable. And I believe that this must be disseminated in a more emphatic way. Okay, thank you, Henrique. Thank you. So we have seen so far that we need to know our herd well, to know what we want in the future. And mainly, I believe that we understood we have the need to truly understand how to analyze, how to use the tools of genetic evaluations and the EPDs. Okay, Fábio, I would like to pass the floor to you. We would like to hear you. Okay. Let's go by alphabetical order. I believe that there is a consensus that these matings now, based on genetic improvement, by observation of the genetic evaluations, and also there is a consensus that the visual evaluation is essential, okay? And obviously, the more you know the herd, the greater certainty you're going to have of this wonderful mating or to have a wonderful mating. Something else that we should mention is among the tools that we have in the genetic improvement program, when we analyze the averages and the trends of the herd, okay, we already have a way ahead, a guide. What are the deficiencies that should be improved? And what are the strong suits or the strong points of that herd? And with this information in hand, starting from that, it is your mating is going to become much more objective. And obviously, after having identified the needs that you must overcome or change or improve, some with lower intensity, others with greater intensity, and so some characteristics that have more profitability, less profitability, adaptation, etc. I believe that matings nowadays, the probability of getting everything right is way higher. And then you can observe this macro structure that is the herd as a whole, okay? And then you can analyze the pedigree of the heifers, okay, of the female cattle, everything that you can work on so that we can improve these animals, and also with lots and lots of responsibility when it comes to compliance. And so it's very important in conformity. And so that's why it is important for us to also have a visual evaluation. And so I believe that the matings nowadays, they have a higher probability of getting everything right. Something else that is important is that we should take the herd or analyze the herd as a whole, and we're going to improve things little by little. So it's very important for us to have balanced EPDs, and improve each characteristic generation after generation. And I should repeat, one step at a time, and always maintaining the genetic and the visual evaluations. Fantastic, Fábio. We agree with you. Yes, right, Mr. Josaquian. Yes, your remarks were fantastic. And I would also like to add that I am a big fan of all trends. And I believe that the program is very good because it helps us a lot to base our work on the trend. João Marcos, now I would like to pass the floor to you. Let's hear what you have to say. Okay, so as everybody mentioned, we have a general consensus, and I can summarize everything, that the tools that we have nowadays, they have to be used in a balanced way. I can mention one, the herds that we work with is the corral report. What is a corral report? It gives you all the information of that animal that is there that you are evaluating. It can be a heifer, it can be 1 year heifer, and so everything that you have inside the farm. And so these corral reports are very important. This too is very important. And with the other tools, we are able to do our work better and have more certainty about the results. And so what is important for you to do? To use all the tools at your disposal in a balanced balanced way. And so you have an objective that you want to reach within that herd, within that proposal, within that management proposal or management situation, the product that your client is demanding. So you should use all of the tools, and then your level of certainty is going to be way higher. So this is the biggest secret for a good cattle mating. We as technicians, we want to deliver the best results possible, and the best results possible today is when we use all the tools at our disposal. And so using the PNGZ, not only to evaluate everything, all the characteristics, but the tools that Fabio mentioned, yeah? They're very important, and then it's easy for you to have everything in your hands. How is the evolution of that herd? How is the situation? And then it's easier for you to decide before going to the farm, what genetic tools can I take to that farm? Should I take to that farm? What are the bulls? What are the best sires and bulls for that farm? And then when you are on the farm, you can use the genetic evaluation, the corral report, and then the phenotypical evaluation, and then the work that the technician is going to carry out is going to have a positive result, okay? All of these tools, there's no doubt in my mind that they are essential, and Henrique mentioned that. It's also important for us as technicians to take to the herd. Everybody should understand this. What are the main characteristics here? Why is doing this important? Not only analyzing the phenotype, analyzing the herd as a whole, but the program. Within the program, we have to try to improve the trends and to explain and to try to explain not only to the breeder, to the rancher, but to all of the staff on that farm. And so that's why it's important for us to share with them how and why the evaluations are so important. They have to understand each and every characteristic and how they are going to impact the herd as a whole. And so, based on all the characteristics, and at the end, everything is going to impact the final result. Yes, yes, that's it. So the chances of us getting things right is even higher. Yes, yes, Luiz Antonio. Yes, the technologies are here, the tools are here, and they are making everything more consistent. The genetic forecasting, the genetic evaluations, the visual evaluations. You have to understand all of the production system, and so the tools become sounder and sounder. And there is another important and interesting aspect, and we discussed this very little, I believe, because we have so many challenges in the selection, but there is a very important item, the correlated responses, and we don't monitor this enough. Sometimes people say that the selected unit is the animal, not a certain piece of characteristics, yeah, or characteristic, or a feature. And so we should start monitoring, and the Zebu breeds, and I'm going to speak about the Nelore breed, they have a huge genetic variability, and then we can correct this, that, adjust this, that. But what we did in the last 20 years approximately was to analyze a lot the sexual precociousness, and then we started producing heifers, calving earlier and earlier, okay? And so the weight increased, and then we created a collision route, so heifers that were very young, calving big calves, and so it's a condition that doesn't exist in the Zebu breeds, but they are starting to appear now. And I would also like to say that connected to all of this, Celinho mentioned to carry out the diagnostics of the basis, the foundation that you are working with, where do you want to go with this mating, and he also mentioned what are the EPDs, how can we use them well, and this is very important. And so when things are extremely mercantilized or commercialized, things become a little distorted. And this happened with the EPDs. So the EPD separate from accuracy? No, they must be interpreted correctly. And Fabio also mentioned this for that we should work in a sound way, analyze the herd as a whole, start this construction. And so João Marcos told us about this. We should monitor everything. And we understand that all of us, we are starting to learn how to connect all of these tools and the growth opportunities that we have. And so they are amazing, amazing. We have a lot of wonderful genetic material that we have. And if we were able to combine this, we would only get things right. Yes, okay, yes, I agree with you. A high amount of information. And as you mentioned, the technicians that we have, their capacity, their abilities, the technicians are highly qualified, and they also have that eye that can get things, see things, and they are able to analyze all of this set of tools, these fantastic tools that we have at our disposal. And do you know what's better is when everything, all of this gets together, and then we can use this in an effective way, in a practical way. And that's why I would like now to ask, I would like to invite our partners that take part in the Brazilian Cattle, and they are going to be here with us. They're going to be here with us, and they are going to discuss a topic which is the practice of the set of tools that we are mentioning, which are the criteria so that we can choose, so that we can select the best male and female donors. So I would like my team, my friends, my technicians, I would like you to please bear with me, have a little patience. Yes, all the technicians are here. Oh, they are here. They have arrived. And so I'm going to introduce each one of them. And after that, we would like to interact with all of you here together because we have so many experts with us. Wow, do you agree with me, Josaquim? Yeah, we almost don't have any more space. I feel flattered. This is the first time we have been able to assemble so many experts together. So let's start. I have to check my piece of paper here. So let's start with Gustavo Morales. He is the representative of ABS. Guilherme Marques is the representative of Alta Genetics. Mr. Rodolfo Rumpf, who is the representative of Genial, and Mr. Plauto Demetrio, who is the representative from Zebu Embryo. So please, let's be brief, yes, so that we can have a chat together, debate together, because this is going to be wonderful. So I would like to pass the floor to Mr. Gustavo Morales. Hi, Isi, good evening. It's wonderful to be here with you, exchanging this information. Everybody knows one another here, and this is great. I was listening to our colleagues earlier on. Yes, and the tools that we have at our disposal now, they are essential so that we can make the best decisions regarding the best donors, the best male and female donors. And so we have the genetic evaluations, the visual evaluations that help us out a lot, okay? And so if the animal does not have a genetic evaluation that corresponds to the phenotype, we are not going to be able to be successful in trading that. And so we are always worried about the functional part of the female cattle. In Brazil, we have mostly beef cattle, and so the Zebu breeds are the best ones for the production of beef, okay? And so we are always trying to find more productivity because the female cattle is the factory of beef herd, beef production. And so some characteristics we can only find via genetic evaluation, and everything is based on genome information, and so we cannot think about things. We have the tools at our disposal, and so we can be sure, and we have to use them based on strict criteria. And above everything, on each farm, on each property, we have different demands. Each region has different demands. Each region have different capacities, aptitudes, characteristics, and so it must be clear to us what is the main objective of this ranch, what is the main objective of this farm, so that we can meet the demands that they have to the best of our abilities. Yes, okay, Guima. Guima, what would you like to share with us? Hello, Isi. Hello, Mr. Josakian, everybody. We have dear friends here, and they are extremely knowledgeable. And I was asking myself, oh my gosh, who am I among all of these aces? And so, Isi, my perspective is the following. And so I have this view of responsibility, the responsibility that we had. And I don't know if you remember my grandfather used to say, son, it's easier to breed 100 cows than to have one excellent bull or one excellent sire. And so when we have a bull that has been certified by the ABCZ, by the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, proving that this bull is going to carry out the genetic improvement, so it's wonderful. Another item that I always like to mention is the pressure on the selection, so that we can have a bull that has been selected by a central. We have the Gauss curve. So when you have all of the items, an improved bull must have these and these features, so that this bull is going to stand out in the herd, so that he's going to be the man. And so the genetic evaluation, the genomic evaluation, the visual evaluation, we have to use everything at our disposal, so that that bull is going to be there in the future with all of the future features that are going to be seen in the future. And so I should not say I think, okay? What we work with is sciences, and so we can be sure. And I'm gonna wrap up by talking about the market. As Gustavo mentioned well, my dear friend, we have been working together for many, many years. Brazil is huge. And so the centrals, they are like a shopping center or many shopping centers with many stores that are going to meet the different demands that we have in Brazil, and also the demands that our ranchers have. And so the market sometimes is the king, and sometimes you can create a new market, a new demand. So each day we see this new demands when it comes to the dairy sector, in the beef sector, they want a more gourmet tasting beef. And so the responsibility, the selection pressure, the market has changed a lot, and they demand a lot from our centrals. So me, for example, I am a manager, and sometimes I go into the field to try to find the perfect bull, and sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes we start with the heifer. We're going to determine which cow is outstanding, and then we propose the mating, and then we wait for the best results. So sometimes it's extremely hard work, and And we need a lot of science behind this. And thank God that the path that was tread upon by all of our ancestors as regards genetic improvement. And now I do all of the evaluations, the visual evaluations, the genetic evaluations, the genetic average. I have the genomic evaluation, and everything adds up so that I can have a more positive result. And so the work that we do is extremely complicated, but thank God we have an ABCZ in our lives,
Graças a
the
Deus temos
BCZ,
tantos
and
técnicos,
so we
né,
have so
competentes
many
aí,
competent
né?
people and technicians. And
Isso
they
mesmo, isso mesmo.
created all of
Criadores e
these
técnicos competentes,
figures,
né,
statistics. We
que
have
fazem do nosso país
highly
referência.
qualified
Isso que é muito
technicians,
importante.
professional
Guima,
technicians
muito
that have
obrigada por
transformed
te
Brazil into a
ouvir. E
benchmark.
agora a gente
Yes,
queria
thank
ouvir um
you,
pouquinho do Dr.
Guima.
Rodolfo.
Now, Dr. Rodolfo, I would like to pass the floor to you. Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here sharing the screen with you, even if it's only online and virtually. And I would like to talk a little bit about the cow or the heifer, talking about exports. And so the selection criteria for the best female donor is everything that you mentioned about the genetic aspects. We have to see the cow's reproductive potential and also the sanitary potential and characteristics. And when we analyze an embryo with a predefined genome, the embryo, even in vitro, is the safest way to exchange genetic materials between Brazil and other countries from a health perspective, from a sanitary perspective. And this allows us to carry out, let's say, a washing or a cleaning, a chemical washing, and then we can treat with pepsine, and then we can increase the safety, the security, the health security and safety almost in 100%. This is on one hand. On the other hand, we have the production of this embryo, all of the care that we can have. We have to be extra careful during the manipulation. We have to be extra careful. Of course, on one side, you have the genetic evaluation, and sometimes the importer, they more or less know, or they have technicians that give him or her consultancy, and we try to help them out to find the male or female donors that they are looking for. And sometimes we need to help the importer when it comes to the importing process as a whole. So we are going to tend to evolve to export embryos, and then maybe tomorrow and in the future we're going to be able to do the phenotypical evaluation here in Brazil or abroad, and we're going to be able to offer this advantage and unite all of these fronts that we are debating
Muito
now.
bom, doutor
Yes,
Rodolfo.
Dr.
Plauto,
Rodolfo,
é sua
thank you so
vez,
much.
Plauto.
Plauto, now I would like to pass the floor to you. Good evening, Isi. Good evening, Josakian. Good evening to all of our friends and colleagues here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be participating in this wonderful event. This is a noble initiative and a wonderful initiative to hold the Expo Zibo online. Congratulations. So we are going through a moment now, in my opinion, that we had never had before in our history, and our livestock production is going through a different moment. All of our technological tools, genetic tools, and all of the work that we can do, and everything that we are discussing, I always make a comment that the most important thing, from my perspective, and many people get in touch with me, and I used to pay them a visit face to face, but now I can't. So I have been doing the following. Before deciding the genetic that we're going to use, the genetics that we're going to use, the type of technology that we're going to use, and so our contexts are mostly as regards embryos, trading embryos. So I believe that the rancher, the breeder, the farmer, they first of all have to define what is their project. And so, what do I want? What do I expect? What is my main goal? And so, in terms of genetic selection, and so, what do I want as a project for my ranch? What is the production system that I'm going to use? Because we have been seeing with my modest experience that many ranchers, they simply don't know what they want. Oh, now I'm going to breed beef cattle. Oh, now I'm going to breed Nelore. Now I'm going to have more cows and heifers. Or I want my cattle to produce milk. And so this is my experience. This is based on my experience. This is not a criticism, okay? But so first of all, define the project for your farm. What do you want to have on your farm? What kind of production do you want to have? And this is my contribution, okay, for our debate. Excellent, Plauto, excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we want to debate, interact, but okay, I'm going to have a 2-minute block so that you can drink some water, drink some coffee, use the restroom, and then we're gonna get back so that we can chat with Josakian or among all of you on the screen, and we're going to discuss this topic that we are passionate about. And so, I would like to call now our Zebu Innovate panel. So ABS is a world leader, and it innovated in 2020 with a nucleus with superior female donors. So huge facilities were created with a capacity to receive 300 female cattle. And so now they have biosecurity to the highest standards here. And so they are part of the ABS, and they generate line A. We have the Neo Premium ABS. It's a unique solution if you want to boost the genetic improvement on your farm and also your profitability. This year, they received the first female donors of Zebu eggs. And so they are also producing embryos for being exported. And so you can find out more about the ABS on our website. Okay, ABS is always helping you generate more profits. Alta Brasil is a market leader when it comes to genetic improvement. It's located in Uberaba, the world capital of Zebu cattle. And they have highly qualified professionals, and so it's one of the largest in the world. And from this central place, they have 1 in every 3 doses that are sold, okay? In the Zebu breed, it's about 50% of the market. They are traded by Alta. Only in 2020, they produced over 7 million doses that were sold only in 2020. We offer the best in cattle genetic with high quality. Our mission is to help the breeders and ranchers to produce more and make more profits. And so this is what our credibility is based on, okay? And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here so that we can continue this chat that is very interesting. And I'm sure that you who are on the other side of the world, you are enjoying this program and receiving all of this information that we have now. And we have a team of experts discussing this. So I would like to pass the floor to Mr. Josakian. And now you can coordinate all of these guys here, all of these experts.
Tarefa difícil, né?
What would you like to discuss? Wow, this is a difficult task, coordinating such wonderful and competent people.
O Guilherme falou uma coisa interessante ali
Guilherme
durante
mentioned
as
something
falas
interesting
dele,
during
a questão
his
da mãe
initial
do touro,
remarks,
né?
the
Quem é a mãe do
mother
touro, né?
of the bull,
Que
the
é
mother of the
componente
bull. Who is the mother of
importante,
that
porque ele
bull? And
ocupa
that
dois
component
terços
is
da
extremely
propriedade,
important
ou
because
seja,
the
significa
bull
mais de 70% do custo de produção.
represents
E a
two-thirds
gente, às
of
vezes, não dá
the
interpretação pro
property, and
componente
sometimes
fêmea,
we
né?
don't think about the female
Eu
donor.
tenho, assim,
We
dois
only focus on the
referenciais que eu
male
sempre
donor, on the
trago
bull.
comigo
So I
desde
have
da minha
two
formação acadêmica,
referentials that I
que
have
é
had since my
da
time at
vaca
the
funcional, a
university.
questão do
The
peso,
functional
relação
cow,
peso da vaca,
the
peso de
relationship
mama,
between
que eu
the
acho que a gente
weight of
não
the
observa
cow
isso
when
com
the cow
tanta
is
eficiência.
uh,
Essa questão do se a
feeding
vaca for
the
capaz
calves.
de desmamar
If the
50% do
cow
peso
can
dela em bezerro e ainda
wean
reconceber, é extremamente
wean the
eficiente.
calf
Eu
and
não
give
sei se
to
a
the
gente
calf
monitora isso muito
50% of the
bem, se
weight,
nosso
that's
critério está muito
wonderful. I don't
focado
know
nisso.
if we
E o
monitor
outro
this
referencial
well.
que eu
And the
sempre
other
tenho comigo
referential that I
é a
have
questão de que
always with me, or the
pensando no gado de
idea,
corte agora,
thinking
o
about beef
filho, o
cattle.
macho, o filho dessa vaca, ele
So
vai
the
estar
male
pronto para
calf
abate
is going to be ready to
no
be
peso adulto da
slaughtered
sua mãe.
when the
Então, assim,
mother reaches or when the calf
a gente
reaches
fez
the
trabalho há
mother's
pouco tempo
weight.
atrás,
And
muito
so we
resumidamente,
carried out a
a gente
study and a
identificou no
research
nosso banco de dados quem eram
a
as
short
vacas que
while ago,
fenotipicamente eram
and we
boas,
said
pariram
which
cedo, nunca
cows
falharam, desmamaram
have the
cria
best
pesada. E a
phenotypes.
nossa equipe
And
técnica
so
toda, os
our
nossos
technical
técnicos super
team and
competentes,
all of our
foram nas
technicians, they were
fazendas e
extremely
mediram e
competent, and they
pesaram
went
essas
to the
vacas.
farms, they
E era
measured
uma
the cows,
vaca
they weighed the cows,
pouco
and the
diferente
cows,
do que
they
a
were a
gente
little
imagina.
different from
Era
what
uma
we
vaca aí
usually
dos seus
imagine. So it was a
450,
cow
500
between
quilos de peso
400 and
adulto,
500
né, que tinham
kilograms
medidas
as
bem
an adult.
razoáveis,
The measures were
mostrando que essa interação
reasonable,
acontece isso. Aí eu
showing
queria
that
ouvir do
there is
pessoal,
this
e se
interaction.
ainda
So I
tiver
would
tempo,
like
pouquinho
to
sobre
hear
essa
from
questão
our
da fêmea,
friends
desse componente
about the
fêmea. Como é que a gente
female
pode
donor,
trabalhar
the
isso?
female cattle. Yes, guys, would you like to say a few things about this? This is an important topic. Who would like to start?
Oi, posso falar?
Isi, can I say a few words? This is Gustavo.
Então, eu
Yes.
acho esse tema tão importante.
I believe that
e foi
this
por
topic
conta
is so
exatamente dessa
important,
preocupação nossa
and
com
we
a
were
reposição de
concerned
fêmea de
about
qualidade,
using
tem
high
trabalhado as
quality female
tecnologias
donors,
inerentes à
and
produção de
now
fêmea, né?
we have been
Como a
working
genética
on technology so that we
sexual
can
da
have the
BS, que
best
a
female
gente desenvolveu uma
cattle.
tecnologia
And so
que
we
vai bem na
developed a
ATF,
technology that
né?
works well
E
with the
essa parte do lucro que
ATF,
passou
and the
no intervalo aí,
profitability
essa
that was
preocupação em
on the
fazer
video.
melhoramento
We are
genético na
worried
questão
about having
das
this
fêmeas
genetic
através do ABS
improvement
mel.
of the cows
E
and
a parte de
heifers,
embriões também, né?
and
Então,
so
assim,
embryos as well.
como eu falei
So as I
na
mentioned
primeira entrada,
before, the first thing I
a
said,
fábrica, né?
so
Dentro
the
da propriedade
factory
é
on a
a
farm
fêmea,
or
é a
on a
vaca.
ranch is the cow, is the
E a
female
gente tem
cattle.
o custo dela no alto,
And
como o
the
falou, às vezes
annual
representa até mais
cost
que isso, até
is
80% do custo da
about
propriedade,
80%
e a
of the
gente não
cost
dá a
of the
importância
property.
devida a isso.
And
Então,
sometimes we
quando você
don't
tem
give
ferramentas
this
como ciência
the
e
right
impacto,
amount
tem que
of
ser levado em
importance.
consideração,
And so we have to
né?
consider
A relação
everything, the female
desmame, por
donors,
exemplo,
the
essa ideia de
cows,
quilo de
when
bezerro em relação ao
we are
peso
going
adulto
to
da vaca.
wean
É
the
extremamente importante e a
calves.
ATF
It's
promoveu
important to do
a
that. It's
facilidade de
important to
fazer isso
control
quando você desmama um lote
the
com
weight.
você só tem o trabalho de
And
pesar
so you only
e
have
medir
the
ali a
work
vaca
of
para
weighing
conseguir
the
fazer
calf and the
um
cow
descarte, uma
so
pactação,
that you can
né?
have
Hoje a gente tem
the
várias ferramentas de
separation.
acasalamento, de
And so
mapeamento
we have
pecuário,
many
a nível de central, a nível de
techniques
Brasil, a nível de Colômbia,
in
melhoramento
Brazil
genético.
at the
E isso é
genetic
uma coisa que tem que
improvement
ser levado em
program.
consideração e
And
tem
this
que
is
ser levado a
something that we
sério,
have to consider. And this
porque
is something
ela
serious
deixa de ser
because
lucrativa e
it's
passa a
not going to
ser
be so
prejuízo se não
profitable.
for
You're
bem
going to
conduzido,
have
né? Então, a
losses if you
importância da
don't
vaca parir
manage
1 vez
this
por
well.
ano, 1
And
bezerro
so
por ano,
if the
você
cow is
ter
going
uma fêmea
to
funcional, seus ajustes,
have
fatores de
one
peso, de
calf a
consumo,
year, and then you have the
altamente
weight,
exigente, uma
the
fêmea mediana, né?
consumption, they want to
Então, isso
have
é de
an
extrema importância.
average
E a gente
cow,
tem
and this is
vários tipos
important.
de
You
várias
have to
genéticas,
analyze the
vários tipos
cow.
de ferramentas
And we have
para
many
suprir essa
types of
necessidade a
tool
nível de
to
próprio
meet
Brasil
these
inteiro.
demands all over Brazil. Yes, okay. And I believe believe Guima also wanted to say a few words.
Isso, Isi,
Yes,
é um
Issy.
assunto muito bacana
It's
que
a
o Josaquian me
very
trouxe aí,
important
porque quando a
topic
gente
that
vai ao
Josaquian
campo,
shared
né,
with
e a
us,
gente tem o nosso
because
parceiro, o
whenever we
nosso
go to the
cliente, o nosso
field
selecionador, o
and then
criador,
we have our
muitas
client,
vezes ele é
our
movido pela
breeder,
paixão,
many
né? A
times
paixão de
they are
uma
moved
vaca
by
que um
passion.
dia
And
produziu
so
muito
one
leite, ou uma
cow,
vaca que
one
ganhou
day
um
produced a
torneio,
lot
uma
of
vaca
milk, that
que
cow received a
ela
prize,
ela ganhou uma
or that
pista.
cow
Então, assim,
won something,
essas
something.
esses ganhos ou
And
premiações
so these
que geram
awards or
ganho de
prizes
status, né,
that
pessoal para
generate an
ele,
increase
acaba
in
tornando
that
muitas
rancher's
vezes uma
status,
definição da melhor fêmea,
sometimes
né?
they
E a
define
melhor
the
fêmea
best female
não é
cattle
só
by
isso,
that,
né?
the
A melhor
female donor
fêmea
like that. But
é
that's
a
not it.
funcionalidade nela
That's
no
not
aspecto
enough. You
produtivo, né?
have the
Eu acho que
you have
todos
to
nós
analyze
aqui da
the
área
female
de
donor from all the
zootecnia e de
perspectives, the
veterinária,
size,
a
the
nossa
weight,
função
the
dentro de programa de
genetics. And
melhoramento
so
genético
our
é
job
nada mais,
within a
nada menos
genetic
do que
improvement
gerar
program is
ganhos
basically to
genéticos, claro que
generate
serão ganhos do
genetic
financeiros
gains,
para que o
and
nosso
that are
negócio
going to bring
rode, para que o
profits in the
nosso negócio
future,
esteja,
and that our
tenha
business has to
lucratividade
do
e a
that.
gente
We want our
consiga cada
businesses
vez
to
mais
be
viver dele.
profitable, and we want to
E eu vejo
live
muito assim, tanto na vaca de
live
leite
on
quanto na
this and
vaca de
from this.
corte,
And so
é
dairy
aquela
cows
vaca
and
que
beef
realmente vai
cows
produzir
is
aquele
the
bezerro
cow
que
that
vai
is going
dar um
to
peso mais precoce,
produce
um
a
acabamento da
calf,
raça mais
and
precoce, ou
so
aquela vaca que vai
and
produzir
the
uma
calf is
fêmea que vai
going
emprenhar mais
to
cedo e que
become
vai produzir
fat
mais leite do que a
sooner,
média das
precociously.
ternícolas
And
do
so
rebanho.
we also
Então, assim,
have
essas observações são
the
muitas vezes esquecidas, né?
sometimes we forget about this.
E eu
Sometimes
vejo
we
quando a
forget
gente
to
vai para as
discuss
fazendas
this.
e vai
And
trabalhar
then
o
when we
aspecto da
go to the
avaliação de
farms or
fêmeas,
the
que a
ranches
gente
and
passa
we
todo
decide
programa
to
dentro,
assess
no
the
caso da nossa
female
empresa, a gente tem
donors,
programas que
and
vão
in
fazer
our
esse tipo de
company we have
avaliação,
programs that
mas
are going to
muitas vezes
carry out
os
this kind
próprios
of
produtores
evaluation, and
não
sometimes
lembram da
the
vaca que ele
ranchers
tem,
themselves
porque
don't
é aquela
remember the
vaca que não
cows that they
apareceu,
have,
é a vaca
because
que não deu problema de
the
parto, é a
cow
vaca
that
que não
had
deu
no
problema de reprodução,
problems,
é a
the
vaca
cow
que
that didn't
sempre está
have
produzindo, então
reproduction
ela não aparece.
problems,
Até
okay? And
um
so,
companheiro nosso falou
and
da
so
ficha de curral. Muitas vezes
our
ela não
colleague
aparece
mentioned the
nos programas,
corral
né? Ela é a
reports,
vaca que a gente
and
chama de vaca
sometimes the
quatro
cow
eventos.
doesn't even
Dentro do
appear,
leite,
okay?
que talvez eu e o Fábio Miziara, aí,
And so
meu grande professor e
Fabio
mestre, a gente
Miziara,
sempre
yes,
trabalhou
he is my
também um pouco
master. And
a
we
vaca de
also
leite, é a vaca
worked
que vai
with the dairy
emprenhar, que
cows,
vai
the cows
parir,
that are
que
going
vai
to
secar,
get
que vai
pregnant,
produzir,
they're
secar
going
e
to
parir.
calve,
Essa
and
vaca,
then that's
ela não tem
it.
mais nada
And then
escrito na
it
ficha
doesn't have
dela. E
anything
essa
else
vaca
on
que a
the
gente tem que
report, on the
procurar cada
corral
vez mais,
report.
né? A
And
vaca
this is the
funcional.
cattle
Eu acredito
that
que no
we have
corte
to
não,
look
não
for
seja
more
diferente.
and
É a
more.
vaca
And I
funcional que a
don't
gente
believe that
precisa.
this is
E
different.
aí a
We need
gente
a
tem que usar, eu
functional
faço aqui um
cow.
apelo a
And
todos
so
que
I
estão
have an appeal
ouvindo,
to make to
acredite
all
nas
of you.
informações,
Believe in the
acredite
information.
nas
Believe
informações
in the
zootécnicas,
information that
anote tudo que
the
você tem na fazenda para que a gente possa usar
zootechnical
para nossa
information
tomada
that you
de
have.
decisão
So
e quem
what
sabe
do you
fazer uma
have on your
melhoria dessas
farm so
fêmeas cada
that we
vez
can
mais.
improve
E
the
vamos continuar
females more
melhorando,
and
né,
more?
Fábio?
Yes,
Comenta
okay.
para nós um pouquinho, Fábio.
Eu acho que
Fábio, now
foi
I'd like to
só
pass the floor to
recapitulando
you.
o início aí, quando o Josaquian começou
So when
falando
Josakian started
a
talking about
respeito das
this,
escolhas dos
and also
indivíduos que
choosing the
serão os
individuals
pais
that
da
are going to
futura
be the
geração,
parents of the future
também
generation,
pegando
and
o que o João
also
Marcos falou da
using
ficha
what
de
João
curral.
Marcos mentioned, the
Hoje a gente tem
corral
trabalhado
report.
muito e é uma
And
ferramenta
so we have been
muito
working a lot,
importante
and it's
também,
a very
né,
important
que
tool,
é a eficiência
which is
reprodutiva das
the
matrizes,
reproductive
né?
efficiency and
E,
efficacy of
e
the
realmente você
female
vai,
donors.
e estou vendo também
And
que nós estamos discutindo muito
we are
sobre,
also
sobre essa
discussing a
coisa
lot
das matrizes mais
the
eficientes pelo
matrices that are
custo
more
de
effective
manutenção, pelo custo que ela representa.
by the
E
costs
eu
that
acho que é
they
uma ferramenta
represent. And I believe
importantíssima que
that
nós
this
temos
is
para
very
trabalhar nos rebanhos.
important,
Como
okay, that we have to
o
work
Guima
with
falou,
our herds.
muitas vezes
As
algumas vacas
Guima
passam
mentioned,
despercebidas.
sometimes
Aliás,
some
tanto para o
cows
bem quanto
are
para o mal.
even
Como
overlooked for good and for bad. And so many cows, for example, when we use this program called PMGZ, which is the Genetic Improvement Program of Zebu cattle, the PMGZ. And so we talk to the rancher, and sometimes they don't know. They don't know what are the most functional cows, and they ask us to work with the least or less functional cows. And you have to try to see the animals that have the highest reproductive efficiency and efficacy. And as João Marcos mentioned, you should have a report of that farm, a report or a spreadsheet of reproductive efficiency that we have available in the PMGZ, which is the Genetic Improvement Program of Zebu cattle, yes, the PMGZ. And so, once again, I would like to compliment the ABCG, the PMGZ, the program that we are a part of, for the wonderful and important tools, essential tools that are made available to us. Okay, João Marcos, I pass the floor to you now. How have you been using the Corral reports, okay? Because Fábio was already complimenting this. Translation apologizes, I cannot hear the gentleman. João Marcos, we cannot hear you. Okay, now we can hear you. Thank you. My microphone was muted. And so the Corral report is the tool that we have always had, even before we had the genetic evaluation programs. And so you get a herd, sometimes a huge herd that you're going to work with. And then it is important, the property, to collect all of the data, all of the information about that animal. And so the information has to be accurate to say, what was the weight when that calf was weaned, okay? And so you need 1 minute to interpret that report, okay? So you have the number of calves that cow generated, and so everything that happened to the matrix, the cow, and this is going to help you a lot to make decision. So that was the tool that we had before we having the genetic evaluation programs, and I believe it remains very important. It's still very important, and I was raised like this. Sorry, I was educated like this, to use the largest number of tools that we have, all of those that are at our disposal, yeah? And so Gustavo mentioned this, the market demands this from you. You need to be aligned with the market, you need to be careful. And as Mr. Josakian mentioned, the market cannot seduce you or not follow the best advice that you have to give them. And so the market sometimes is hungry for a certain genetic evaluation that is extremist. And so in the past we had this, and now they want to have balance in terms of the phenotype, in terms of the genetics. So we need to have balance. And the Corral report is there. It's a great tool for you. And you have all that information, and all that information is there. Why not use it? And then guide that staff, guide that rancher, guide that company to collect this information. They collected this already, okay? Because most of the programs and clients that we have, we analyze the weight, all of the reproductive pieces of information. And so I call it a Corral report, but then you can work with all of the information, and you have everything easily accessible in your hands. And so the results that we have been seeing, we're still seeing that it's important for you to have this, to assess the corral report, the genetics of the animal, getting to know the pedigree, the history of that animal, knowing what that animal can produce. And so at that moment, you can do an evaluation and it can show you different things. Sometimes the accuracy is low, and when you are making a decision, if the evaluation offers low accuracy to you, maybe you can make a decision that the program didn't share information with you yet. And we have a very important tool, the evolution. The transformation is happening, the technological transformation is happening very, very quickly. And so we work with huge herds, and now 100% of our animals are going to be based on genomes. And we are very happy with the decision. We have a herd with over 3,000 cows, and everything is going to happen in a genomic way. And all of the production is being like this, reproduction. And so we're going to have a higher level of accuracy. And then we're going to have a revolution and evolution. And so artificial insemination is a very, very important technique. The revolution that it brought along with it is amazing. And so we have had many revolutions and evolutions. And so to generate and produce great animals. And also we have the genetic evaluation programs. And then we should remember to use the corral reports and use all the tools available. Okay, Salinho, can you hear us? Yes, we can hear you. I know that you want to make your remarks. Okay, thank you. And then after that, Dr. Rodolfo. So the PMGD supplies to us reproductive efficiency and efficacy. And so in the past, the farms had the corral reports in the past. And I still have one that has these corral reports. And so if the rancher's computer or the technician's computer, they have access to the internet, okay, they can see the reports. How many calves, what was the first calf, what was the weight, okay, all the information can be there on the laptop or on the iPad or on the cell phone. How much they weighed when they were weaned. And so Gustavo mentioned this, Josaquian mentioned that, and the other colleagues too. And so the cow for us is very, very important so that we can have a good balance. And 90% of the farms that we work on, we like to see and analyze each calf at a time, calf after calf after calf. Okay? And I just wanted to make a clear message because my internet connection is bad. And so the ranchers, they should not buy semen from non-balanced bulls. So with the variety of bulls that we have, we should choose the most balanced. These bulls need to be good sires, good reproducers, the best in terms of milk. And so some programs use 01 as the terms, others use DK1, DK01. So you can try to decide what are the deficiencies of each one of your cows. So before going to the corral, you can have an Excel spreadsheet. And then you can analyze the cows and the bulls that were pre-selected by the rancher. And so you can analyze the cows, you can analyze their weight, how much milk they produce, the carcass.
para que a gente não caia em alguns erros.
so that we can avoid mistakes, making mistakes, and the mating has to be extremely balanced. The typology of the cow, the type of cow,
Geralmente pelagem de aplumos de umbigo.
the coat of the
Então,
cow,
geralmente cupim, que vários touros modernos hoje de boa avaliação.
the hump, if they have the hump, what is the level of the hump?
É tão boa.
But the diversity is so good and so consistency, and the accuracy is so high,
A segurança de fazer isso.
and so it's we can do that. We can do that for sure.
Mais moderno. Dentro do PMGZ, que
So
é
within the
a
PMGZ,
eficiência reprodutiva,
we must have reproductive efficiency,
o equilíbrio entre vaca olhando no curral, melhor touro que deu uma avaliação.
but we have to analyze the cows in the corral,
Casada com 10 touros
the
diferentes,
best bulls.
pra só dar
Some
pernal.
some of the cows, they mate with 10 different bulls, but they only reproduce one calf.
Que é o touro que tem que ser melhor.
And there are some pieces of information that we cannot find in the EPD.
Tantos que me ensinaram,
And Dr. Arnaldo had taught me this: understand the pedigree, understand the cow, understand the bull, understand the herd. And so I'm sorry, I apologize because my internet connection is bad. No, Celinho, don't worry. You shared wonderful information. Okay, so Dr. Rodolfo,
Eu gostaria de voltar pouco no nível da
I would like to go back a little bit about the reproductive essence. Two aspects, really. So we have so many technologies nowadays that we have helped develop, and sometimes we can focus on something that is not so important. So you have to be able to separate the best animals from the not so good animals, and you have to set your goals. So we have many tools. We can have the tracers, the markers, and repeating what I mentioned before, you're going to be able to choose the best embryos. You're going to be able to carry out a previous evaluation. You're going to be able to accelerate your progress, your genetic progress, in light of everything that was mentioned. And so reproductive sciences is very important. Reproductive science is very important, and you're going to be able to assess your male donors, your female donors, and then you can improve the selection of your animals, of your donors. Okay, Mr. Plauto, the floor is yours.
Falou de fêmeas, é com você aí, né?
Talking about female cattle, that's your cup of tea, right? Yes, we're listening to most people talking about the cows and the heifers, and that's my work on a daily basis. And so I learned with the older generation. In the past, we chose the female donors because of their beauty, because of their breed features. And I would like to share with you that we have to think about the most important auctions that we had at Expo Zebu. So the female Nelore, the female Nelore cattle, they were very important. They were young heifers, and they got pregnant precociously. They had the first calf before or up until their 24th month. Okay, and so this is a comment that I wanted to share with you. And so we have to identify the most effective female donors and cattle that we have. This is what I wanted to share with you, this message. Choose your female donors well, and choose your cows and heifers well. choose them by their
Fantástico, muito bom.
efficiency,
Eu
okay?
queria ouvir
Oh,
também
thank
pouquinho
you.
do Henrique.
And now,
Henrique,
Henrique, I would
tanto
like
foi
to
dito
listen to
aqui,
you.
tantas opções
So
e
many
ferramentas,
options, so
né?
many things
Você
have
que
been
atua
talked
diretamente com
about, so
elas,
many tools.
então,
You that work
nos dê
directly
pouquinho
with
da
this,
sua
so
contribuição aí
what would you
também.
like to say? What are your remarks regarding this?
Muito enriquecedor esse.
The debate has been extremely rich and wealthy for me with my colleagues that have vast experience, and they are sharing different points of view, and this construction of knowledge has been very interesting. Something that I always talk about, the selection of the best cows and heifers with the best reproductive characteristics are they are impacted by the environment, by the management, by the feed, by the reproductive management. So it's very dangerous for you to discard a female cattle or a cow or a heifer based on certain things without having the opportunity to know if that is a good cow or not. It's important to find out if the animals are being able to express their genetic potential, and if the cows received and were under the same conditions, because sometimes in a herd, some females have not received the main treatment or the best treatment as the others because they're not the favorite based on a certain criterion, and they have their reproductive potential not fulfilled, and because there was a deficiency in the management, and sometimes a cow can be discarded in an incorrect way. So sometimes it's dangerous to discard an animal based on edibility characteristics, based on the phenotype. So it's important to do that, but you have to carry out an investigation, investigate the opportunities, what was the environment. Yes. Wonderful. That's a wonderful warning.
Super enriquecedor, né?
Josaquian, wonderful,
Tantas
wonderful.
informações importantes
How
nós
much
conseguimos aqui.
information, how
Bom,
much
se
important
eu tivesse
information we
tempo,
were
eu
able.
ia dizer pra
If I
vocês
had
que a gente ia
time,
ficar aqui.
I would say, we can stay
Exatamente,
here and
afinal de
sit down here and
contas,
chat
somos
for
muitos,
the
mas ainda
entire
temos
night,
tanto,
but
né?
we still have a
Então,
lot to
como o nosso
discuss.
tempo
So since our time is controlled, highly controlled, unfortunately, our time on TV stations, they are controlled. Before concluding, can I just make a very quick remark? So some time ago, I wrote an article called "Why Are Not All Top 01 Bulls the Best?" And at the end of this article or this paper, I wrote the following. This summarizes most things that were mentioned here. We have arrived at a moment that we are able now to carry out a selection with one eye on the coral and one eye on the computer. And this adds all the competences, all of the features and characteristics. And just to mention something, today I saw Plauto's presentation on ABCZ TV. I would like to congratulate them for the selection, and also all of his concerns regarding sustainability, the environment, etc. Thank you to all of you for this wonderful class. Thank you, Mr. Josaquian. And we would like to wrap up by making a clear message. So for a good mating, for an excellent mating, we need one eye on the computer, one eye on the corral. This is what we need. Oh, this summarizes everything that we discussed previously. And we know that we still have a long way ahead, a long path ahead, but we have evolved a lot. That's why our livestock production is moving forward very well with excellence. And so And that's why we are exporting our input and products to the rest of the world. And I believe that during Expo Genetics, we're going to be able to be together, chatting, debating, having a wonderful conversation. So thank you very much for having accepted our invitation. I wish to all of you great health and wonderful success. Thank you. Thank you so much. See you later. Luiz Antônio, I thank you. Thank you very much. It's over. Well, unfortunately, we had to wrap up. And so people are always talking to me, easy, easy, easy. We don't have any more time. So thank you for your presence. And so we have the attachés, the agricultural and livestock attachés. So you are our guest for the Expo Genetics. Thank you so much. Thank you to all. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue because we have a lot of information to share with you. And so in order for us to be able to share more innovation with you, I would like to invite our Zebu Innovates panel or block.
Olá, parceiros, amigos e criadores. Sou Paulo Serântola, gerente comercial da Genial. Reconhecida no mercado nacional e internacional, a Genial traz grandes inovações para o setor agropecuário. Dispõe de um laboratório com alta tecnologia. No último ano, conquistamos um importante recorde na história da biotecnologia animal, a produção de 8 clones de uma única doadora, um marco que simboliza a força da Genial como um instrumento de inovação. Somos um canal de referência com o comércio exterior, habilitada para exportação em mais de 10 países. A Genial sai na frente mais uma vez com alto investimento no quarentenário, espaço com capacidade para mais de 250 animais, destinado ao processo de isolamento para exportações de embriões. Aprimore e acelere a sua genética.
Somos um laboratório completo.
We are a complete lab. We are Genial. Animal genetics and biotechnology. So this property for us is wonderful. 15 kilometers away from Uberaba, near the highway that connects Uberlândia and Uberaba. We are between these two cities. So this location is perfect, perfect. This is the Santana Farm. Hello, Karina. This is Zebu embryo. So we are well served. There's lots of water, lots of greenery, many plants, many trees. We are managing this together, Zebu embryo and the Santana Farm staff. And so it's a privilege to have the Zebu embryo located here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be doing this program today. This topic is very dear to our heart. You technicians, you breeders, you ranchers and farmers, I'm sure that you are happy as well to have followed up such a rich discussion. And now, in order for us to be able to continue, we're going to be discussing important things. I would like to invite, well, before inviting, I would like to tell you a little bit more about our agricultural and livestock attachés. So we are going to receive now our friend, attaché in India, Dalci de Jesus Bagolin. Hello, Dalci. Welcome, welcome to the program. How are you doing? We're fine, thank you. It's a great joy to receive you. It's a great pleasure to be here, okay? It's my pleasure. I have to remind you about something. Dalci is live, and our time difference is huge. And so I believe believe it's the middle of the night in India, and Dalcy should be sleeping, but he's here with us so that he can share a little more information with us about the profile of the livestock production in India, because India has huge potential. It is the cradle of the Zebu breed. It's where the Zebu breed originated from. And so the Brazilian cattle and Dalcy, they worked together. It was wonderful. And so it was wonderful when we were able to visit India to show to you how things work here and all the potential that they have to offer. So let's take advantage of this, and please carry out your presentation so that we can share with the whole world what is the profile of cattle production in India that is so unique. Okay. My staff, please, my team here, can you please upload Mr. Dalcy Bagolin's presentation, please? Okay, yes. So very briefly, I would have a lot of things to share with you, but I'm going to be very concise. Okay, what is the potential of India for the Zebu genetics that comes from Brazil? And so we have to think about this. Why is Brazil so important for India and vice versa? So next slide, please. Just to remind you that India is where the Zebu breed was born or originated. We have images that are 4,000 years old. And so Zebu has always made part of India's history. It's always been important to the Indians. Next slide, please. And so they have about 50 breeds, 50 Zebu breeds registered in India. We have the Ongole, which is equivalent to our Nellore, the Gir, the Tarparcar, the Sabival, and many other breeds, It's always good to bear in mind that cows are a sacred animal in India. Most of the Indian population, they are Hindus, and so the cows are sacred to them. And this involves a lot of peculiarities. They are mostly focused on the production of dairy products and milk, not on the production of beef. Next slide, please. And so India has the largest herd of the world, okay, of buffaloes and also of cattle. And so India and Brazil together, they represent over 50% of the world's cattle and herds. And the livestock and head count is calculated using cattle head and buffalo's head, okay? They count everything together. So they have 2/3 of cattle and 1/3 of buffaloes. And this is economically important. I'm going to discuss this later on. Next slide, please. India carries out a census of their herd from time to time. So there was one in 2012, another one in 2019. And so the Zebu herd is a little stagnated. In the past, it was stagnated, but there was an increase in the European cattle head. And so there has been a genetic erosion in the Zebu cattle, and they lost certain characteristics. And so the producers and breeders, they have been choosing the European cattle. And this is a long-term trend. Since 1992, this has been happening. And so in the past, the Zebu breed represented 93% of all the cattle, and now it has dropped, okay? And this is a very interesting piece of data because you have the percentage of dry animals in milch cattle. In blue, you have the Zebu, okay? In light blue, you have the Zebu. And so they were dry animals, or they were older, too old to reproduce, okay? And the European cattle was only 22.1%. And so there's more technology being applied to the European cattle than to the Indian cattle. One of the greatest difficulties that we have been seeing in India, there is the impacts of the prohibition or restriction to slaughter cattle, to slaughter cows. And there was an increase in this prohibition. And so the dairy producers, they end up slaughtering the male cattle. And so they can use, so they have been choosing to reproduce buffalo, okay? And buffalo offers cheaper meat. And few people know, because of the prohibition to slaughter the cows that are sacred, it's difficult for them to have a genetic selection. And so, even if you select the best, the low performance ones, they're going to continue there, being part of the general cattle population. And so the selection becomes difficult. I visited a farm that is very important, and for 20 years now they have been improving the gyr, but they were not successful. And so Brazil can advance in terms of doing this. And so some photos of the Indian reality. At the bottom, you can see a typical property, a typical Indian range. The average head is 2 or 3 head per property. And so they are being fed there. You can see the feed basin. And so they have over 320 million head. So they have 100 million properties with 2 or 3 head of cattle. And this represents between 10 and 50% of the family incomes. And so they want to increase the number of families in the field so that they can maintain the population in the fields. Okay, so India is the biggest producer of milk in the world now, and in second place we have the European Union. The milk production grew a lot since India became independent. Next slide, please. If we decide to focus on the last years, the average growth rate was about 5% a year, and some years they almost reached 7% of a growth rate. And they grew about 7% a year. And for the Indian government, it's important for the milk production to follow up the consumption rate. They want to make this balanced. So all of this production had some important factors, which is the period of White Revolution, the Operation Flood. The Operation Flood was important. Next slide, please. It's impossible to talk about milk in India or the production of dairy in India if you don't mention Dr. Verghese Kurian. And so he transformed his cooperative that used to be very small in one of the biggest in the world. He was also a member of the NDDB and also a member of Mother Dairy, which is a dairy company that that belongs to the government. So the NDDB is the National Dairy Development Board, and so they set forth all of the requisites, all of the guidelines, they create many government policies, and they work jointly with the cooperatives. Okay, next slide, please. So the Indian government has several programs to foster the dairy production or dairy cattle. You have the three most important here on the screen. And so they want to preserve the Zebu breeds. Can you go back a little bit? They want to preserve the Zebu breeds. They want to carry out the genetic improvement of these breeds. So there is a huge concern on the part of the government to make the ranchers to go back to use more the Zebu breeds, the Indian breeds, and not the European breeds. So there is a goal that India is going to reach 50% of Zebu breeds. So it's a huge challenge for the government, because in order for them to reach that, they would have to almost double the production of semen. And insemination and reproduction is not so easy in India. Okay, next slide, please. So artificial insemination in India is still a challenge, and so they are trying to improve this, to expand the capillarity of the artificial insemination professionals and the companies. So cattle semen production is a critical issue in India, okay? And you can see all of the statistics. We have NDS stands for NDDB Dairy Services, and the total production of NDS stands at 3.72 lakh frozen semen doses, or 57% of the national production. And so we have the second producer of semen is BAIF. The first one is the SAG or SAG. And they would have to double this production, and they're also worried about the quality of the semen. And they need a lot of male donors, and so they need to collect the semen, and this is going to be a Herculean task to change this. And they want to increase the number of bulls, the number of cows. Next, please. These are photos of the largest semen collection center, the NDDB, in Anand, in the province of Gujarat, or the state of Gujarat. And so you have BAIF or BAIF. They have this huge semen production center. They also have a lab here. It's an American company, and I would like to emphasize that they have developed their own Indian production for the collection of semen. It's unique to them. And sexing has a very important role. And so when the producers or the ranchers don't know what to do with the male calf, so sexing can help them. And the government encourages a lot. The government subsidizes the purchase of semen, okay? So I'm trying to summarize some of the points that I mentioned. Opportunities and challenges for Brazil. So the Indian government is highly interested in recovering and fostering the use of Zebu breeds. There is a need to scale up the production of semen, and this requires the availability of high-quality donors, okay? And this opens up a wonderful exporting market for Brazil, an embryo exporting market for Brazil, live animals, okay? And also they want to import semen from Brazil. This is an opportunity. There is a lot of interest in having sexed semen. They want to import bovine genetic material, okay? And the federal government is working with this, the state governments are doing that, and also cooperatives are trying to do that, trying to import bovine genetic materials. And they are sanitary and health protocols that have been approved for the importing of semen, embryo, in vitro embryo, in vivo embryo, and there are also standards and protocols for importing live animals, okay? However, it is necessary for the Brazilian producers to adjust themselves to the zootechnical parameters that they have in India that are required by India, and I hope that we can do this as soon as possible so that we can start exporting to India. And this is going to be used by the other states in India. And then we can open up the doors of India so that we can export to Brazil. So India wants to import from us and we want to export to them. And so now we just have to sit down and negotiate, okay? And meet the standards. And finally, and so when talking about Brazil, India, and Zebu, we must talk about the technical cooperation. So Embrapa has signed an agreement with ICAR. It is a department in India. They have started a chat with the DAHD, with BAE for BAIF, and unfortunately, most of the negotiations stopped during the pandemic, and in January of last year, the ABCZ signed a cooperation agreement with the NDDB, and unfortunately, we couldn't follow that up because of the pandemic. And so we have many expectations regarding this, because the ABCZ and the NDDB, they are the most important organizations. ABCZ for Brazil and NDDB for India. And so you should try to work together, you should try to sign a cooperation agreement. So this is what I had to say in a very summarized way about what is Zebu in India, what it represents, what is the cattle production in India. Okay, thank you, Dalcy, thank you so much. So much information you have shared with us, and you are just restating and reaffirming all the opportunities that Brazil has to export to India, of the partnerships. Now please greet the team from the NDDB, and soon, really soon, all of these partnerships, they're gonna come into effect, and we're going to open up these markets for Brazil and for India, so that we can help India out, contribute to their growth, because we are really willing to help India. Dalcy, now we're gonna watch Angela Pimenta Perez presentation. She is the Agricultural and Livestock Attaché in Peru, Miss Perez, and she's also going to tell us all the opportunities that are available for Peru, so that the Brazilian livestock producers can export to Peru. Hello, Isi, good evening, welcome.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you. Angela, we talked a lot, as I have chatted a lot with Dalcy, and I bug them all the time. I ask them many questions, but they're always gentle, sweet, and they help us a lot and support us in all of our activities. So, Angela, tell us all of the opportunities that Brazilian breeders have in Peru. Thank you. Yes.
Vamos lá.
First of all, I would like to thank the ABCZ and also the Brazilian Cattle Project for this opportunity.
e dizer que
I would like
é
to
uma grande
congratulate you for
satisfação
this
poder falar
opportunity,
para
and it's a great
vocês sobre as
satisfaction to be able to
oportunidades na
give you this
pecuária
presentation
aqui neste
about
país, que
the
vai muito além da
opportunities that we
gastronomia
have in
de
Peru.
Cusco
And
e
so
Machu Picchu, que todo
Peru
mundo
is
conhece.
way bigger and greater than Machu
Fantástico, é isso daí.
Picchu,
Vamos
Cusco,
produzir
and
com Zebu aí também.
its
Vamos lá.
cuisine, okay?
Próximo, por favor, vou
Next
falar
slide,
dos
please. I'm going to
dados
talk a little
gerais
bit about the real data
Peru.
of Peru here.
Então,
Peru,
tem
Peru
estimados
has
32
about
milhões de
32 million
habitantes.
inhabitants.
É o quarto país
It's the
mais
fourth
populoso
most
da América do
populated
Sul.
country in South
E quase
America,
80%
and,
da população
almost
peruana,
80%
ela é
of
urbana,
the
principalmente aqui
Peruvian
na região
population
metropolitana
is
de
urban,
Lima, que
mainly
tem
in the
mais de
capital
12
city
milhões de
limit
habitantes.
that has over
Então,
12 million
concentra aqui em
inhabitants.
Lima mais
And
de
so in
terço dos
Lima,
habitantes
they
do
have
país. Mas
over
outras
1/3
cidades
of
também
their
são
inhabitants,
importantes
but
aqui,
other
como
cities are
Arequipa e
also
Cusco, na
important.
região sul, tem aproximadamente
Arequipa,
1 milhão de
Cusco,
habitantes,
Trujillo,
e Cusco mais de 400 mil
Cusco has
habitantes,
over
e também
420,000
Trujillo e
inhabitants.
Chiclayo, mais ao norte.
Arequipa,
Uma curiosidade
over
é que
1
Lima é a
million.
única
Trujillo,
capital da América do Sul a beira-mar
930,000.
e é a segunda maior
Chiclayo
cidade do
with
mundo
800,000.
situada no deserto.
And so
Então, pelo mapa aí, vocês
Lima is
podem ver
located
que o
in the
país
desert, and
ele é
as you can
dividido
see,
em selva,
no,
onde
Lima
fica a
is
floresta
located
amazônica,
near
em
the
serra,
coast,
essa parte
okay?
aí mais alaranjada,
And here you have
que são os Andes,
97% of family
e a costa,
agricultural
que é uma região
production,
desértica, que
and the
vai do
coast
norte ao
is
sul do
like a
país,
desert. It goes from the
beira,
north to
do
the
Oceano
south of the
Pacífico, com
country
grande
on the
produção de
Pacific
frutas.
Ocean, and they produce a lot of
Uma
fruit.
outra curiosidade é que o
And
país
another
é dos 10
curiosity
maiores
is that it's
exportadores de
one of
frutas
the
do mundo,
10th
graças
greatest
inclusive a
exporters of
projetos de
fruit
irrigação e
due
assistência
to
técnica de
irrigation
brasileiros que
projects
vieram pra cá
that
para
they
A
started
agricultura
doing
peruana
with the
é
consultancy from
predominantemente
Brazilian
de agricultores
experts.
familiares, cerca de
So
97% de
97%
agricultores
of
familiares,
the
que vai de mais ou
agricultural and
menos
livestock
meio
production
hectare
here in
até
Peru
5
is
hectares,
carried
o
out
que
by
representa
families. The
6%
properties
do
are
PIB
small, and
peruano.
it represents 6% of the Peruvian
Próximo,
GDP.
indicadores econômicos.
Next,
Vou falar
economic
pouquinho. O Brasil, claro, é uma
indicators.
economia
So
quase 10 vezes
Brazil
maior do que o
is
Peru.
almost
A economia
10 times
peruana
greater
tem se
than Peru.
destacado na região, principalmente pelo ritmo
And so
consistente de
they have had
crescimento.
a
Obviamente que
consistent
teve
growth
uma
in the
dificuldade
last
aí
5
pela
years,
pandemia,
but they are
mas
facing
por conta desse
difficulties
crescimento
because
ao
of the
longo aí
pandemic,
de
but
20
due
anos
to
mais
the
ou
growth
menos, o
they have
país
had in
conseguiu
the last
importantes
20 years,
avanços na
the
redução da
country was
pobreza,
able to achieve growth,
e
and
isso
they
a gente considera
overcame
como
the
uma oportunidade
poverty
relevante
line
para
and
estimular as
how many
exportações
poor people they
brasileiras.
had. And they also
Próximo.
increased their imports and exports to Brazil.
O Peru tem uma rede de
So
acordos
Peru
comerciais
has
grandes, ele tem
several
longo
commercial agreements,
histórico de
okay?
liberalização econômica,
And
tem
so they have opened up their markets. They have over 27 commercial agreements that they have already signed with the USA, with China, and with Mercosur. They have signed an agreement that has been in effect since 2006, and they want to eliminate all of the exporting and importing tariffs with only a few exceptions. So in 2019, we had a program, so any product that is exported from Brazil to Peru, they have to pay zero tariffs. So we negotiate about $4 billion US dollars, and this represents 1% of the Brazilian exports, okay? So our trade balance is very healthy, and Brazil exports manufactured goods, cars, car parts, furniture, and Brazil imports from Peru mainly minerals, okay, copper and zinc. And so they export to Peru chicken and beef. Peru exports to Brazil fish, fruit, and green vegetables. Okay, next slide, please. I wanted to show this route, this inter-ocean route. And this is a huge advantage because we have a highway that can connect Brazil to the Pacific Ocean. Only a few Brazilians have heard about this highway, okay? It connects Brazil to the Pacific Ocean. In Peru, the highway passes through Cusco, and it connects, the highway connects to 3 ports on the Pacific Ocean. So this inter-ocean highway allows a connection between Brazil and Asia, Brazil and Oceania, and Australia and New Zealand. And I believe that this is going to represent a wonderful thing for the Brazilian exports. Most of the beef that comes from Rondônia, almost 100%, comes by trucks along the inter-ocean highway. A little bit about the Peruvian livestock production. It is essentially done by families, family properties. And the women are mostly the heads of these properties. Among the approximately 2 million properties, most of them, they produce crops and livestock, 13% only livestock, and 22% only agricultural products. And cattle production, 85.9% of the producers, they have less than 10 head. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oi?
Yes, can you hear me?
Perdemos a conexão, não? Não, okay. Estamos te escutando.
No, we can hear you. Thank you. Obviously, so the country produces ducks, chicken, but this belongs to 3 or 4 large companies, but they also produce the alpacas, they produce sheep and goats, they produce cuis, and the cuis produces fibers that are widely traded in China and Europe. And a curiosity, and they also, the alpacas, they are produced because China and Europe, they like to purchase their coat, yeah, and they produce cuis. A little bit about the dairy or the milk, bovine milk production. First of all, it's important to mention that the average annual consumption of milk is only 82 liters per inhabitant, way below what FAO recommends. So the government has been encouraging a lot the consumption of milk, okay? So they have about 900,000 dairy cows. The most important regions are Lima, Cajamarca, Lima on the coast, Arequipa, and Trujillo, and the national production per year is over 2.1 million tons. They export 73,000 tons, and mainly the vaporized milk, which is consumed here a lot. But it's not well known in Brazil. Vaporized milk. Peru imports 78,000 tons, and the average yield of the dairy cows is about 8 liters.
que isso aí dá em torno de R$ 2 o
The
litro de
price
leite.
is about
Mas o mercado
127
de
sois
laticínios aqui,
per
de processamento de laticínios,
liter
é
of
altamente
milk.
concentrado em 4 empresas.
And so the
A
production of
empresa
dairy
Leite
products is
Glória,
mostly
Nestlé, Live e
concentrated
Andina, que
and is
processam
done
mais da metade do
basically by
leite
4
produzido no
companies.
país.
And they are
Mas
responsible
o Peru
for
exporta o
almost
leite
all of the production
evaporado,
of milk.
principalmente
And
para Haiti,
Peru
Chile, Porto
exports
Rico.
vaporized milk to
Importa muito
Haiti
leite em pó
and to other
dos
countries. They
Estados
import a
Unidos, da
lot
Nova
of powdered
Zelândia e da
milk from the
Argentina, e o
USA,
Brasil
from
exporta
Argentina, from
somente
New
leite
Zealand.
condensado e
And
creme de leite.
Brazil only exports cream and condensed milk to Peru.
Pouquinho então da cadeia
And so a
produtiva de
little
bovinos
bit
de
about
carne.
the
O consumo
beef
de carne miúdos aqui
beef
de bovino
production.
no Peru ainda é muito baixo, uma
Okay, the
média anual de
consumption
6
of
quilos por
beef
habitante.
is low. It's about 6
A
kilograms per
população
inhabitant
bovina no
per
país
year.
mantém-se estável ao longo desses
And
10
so the
anos, com cerca
bovine
de 5
population
milhões e
has
500 mil
remained
cabeças.
stable, okay, stable
A
in the
produção
country.
anual é de
The
perto
annual
de 140
production is
toneladas,
about
com rendimento de 140
about
quilos
the
por
national
animal.
yield is about
O preço
140
médio pago ao
kilograms per
produtor é de
unit.
6 soles por quilo,
The
que dá em
average
torno mais
price
ou
is
menos de
about
R$ 10 o quilo de animal vivo pago ao
5.68
produtor.
soles per kilogram.
E
That's
o
the
Peru
average
aqui
price.
aplica uma
And
tarifa
the
para
Peru
11% para
has a
carnes
tariff
bovinas para
of
importação.
1%,
Mas, como eu
1%
falei, por
for
força do acordo
importing
entre o
beef.
Mercosul e Peru,
But there is
o
this
Brasil tem
agreement that was
tarifa zero para
signed
esses produtos.
with Mercosur, so
Inclusive, nós somos
Brazil can
hoje
export
o
beef
maior, já
to
passamos
Peru
agora dos
and the
Estados Unidos, o
tariffs are
maior
zero.
exportador de carne bovina para o Peru.
Okay, so
Uma
we have already
curiosidade
become the greatest
é que o
exporter
Brasil
of
é
beef
grande
to
fornecedor de
Peru.
miúdos
And
bovinos pro
Brazil
Peru,
also
especialmente da ração
sells
bovina,
a
que
lot
é uma
of
iguaria muito apreciada aqui no país.
a special
Eles
cut
fazem
of
os
the beef,
churrasquinhos,
and they
que por aqui
barbecue.
são chamados de anticútios.
They're called anticuchos. So Brazil exports some cuts of the beef to
Aí
Peru.
pouco sobre
And
as
a
raças
little bit about the
bovinas, em termos de
breeds,
número,
the
dos
bovine breeds.
881 propriedades exclusivas
So
com bovinos
among
de
the
carne e leite aqui no Peru, somente
881,000
258 mil
properties,
possuem
only
gado para o gado de
258,000
raça,
they
o
have
restante é gado
high
típico aqui do
quality
país.
or pure
Dos
breeds, okay?
5 milhões de cabeças,
The
mais ou
5.5
menos,
million
não chegam a
head,
2 milhões de gado de raça, e as
about
principais
1.8
raças do
million,
país
they
são
are
nós três.
well-bred and
O Husky, que é
wonderful
o holandês, o Giro,
breed
outros
heads.
da raça
They
Zebu,
have the brown
e
Swiss,
o
they have
gado
the
crioulo
Holstein,
representa
they
um
have the
total de
Gyr,
mais
they
de
have
3 milhões de
Zebu,
cabeças.
and the Criollo breed.
Algumas ações estratégicas que a gente
Some
pode
strategic
apresentar
actions
aqui
that
para
we
vocês
can
é que
discuss
o
with you
governo tem
is that the
implementado
government has
ações
been
voltadas para o
implementing
melhoramento
actions
genético,
trying to
principalmente
promote
por
genetic
via monta
improvement
natural
of
para
their
os produtores de
cattle
subsistência, mas também para pequenos e médios
to
produtores.
small farmers
Assim
and to
como a
medium-sized
inseminação
farmers.
artificial por
They
meio
are
de venda de
also
sêmen ou até mesmo doação
promoting
de
and
sêmen
fostering artificial insemination.
daqui mesmo do país ou importar ou sem
Sometimes they use
importar.
the semen they have here in the countries, and
As
sometimes
grandes
they import the
empresas,
semen.
inclusive
So the largest
aquelas empresas
companies,
produtoras de lácteos que eu
even
falei, como a
the
Glória,
companies
elas
that
têm importado
I
sêmen
mentioned
e
that
embriões
produce
para
dairy
os seus
products,
produtores de leite, ou seja, os seus associados.
and so they help
Outra ação
their
estratégica
associates.
que eu
Another
considero
strategic
de
action
grande oportunidade
that I
para o
believe is a
Brasil é
great
o
opportunity
fortalecimento das
for Brazil
capacidades, ou
is the
seja, muita
strengthening of their
capacitação que
capacity.
eles estão querendo
They are offering
implementar
many
voltadas para a
capacity
transferência
building
de
courses
tecnologia e
so
inseminação
that
artificial.
they can improve
E
their
essas
artificial
ações são
insemination
levadas por órgãos
actions.
governamentais,
And so
pela
government
própria iniciativa
agencies are
privada,
helping
como o
them, the
INIA, que
private sector is
o
helping
organismo
them.
vinculado ao
We
Ministério da
have
Agricultura aqui,
INIA,
como se fosse a
which is
Embrapa
an
brasileira, claro,
agency
guardadas as
that
devidas
is similar to
proporções, porque
Embrapa
não
in
tem o
Brazil, okay?
tamanho da Embrapa para
But they are not as
um
big as
desenvolvimento,
Embrapa.
né, de pesquisas e tecnologias, nem tampouco eles têm uma
And
capilaridade,
they
mas
don't
na medida
have
do
the
possível eles
necessary
prestam
capillarity.
assistência
But
técnica e têm
they
banco
render
genético
technical
ali para
assistance and
vender
they
a
have
preço de
a
custo
genetic
o material
database
genético
to
para
sell
os
genetic
produtores.
material to the
Existe a
producers and
Universidade Agrária
farmers.
de La Molina
We
também,
have
que tem
the
banco de
Agraria La
sêmen,
Molina University. They have a semen database that is national. They have public companies that render technical assistance, such as Agro Rural and Sierra y Selva Exporting. And so they are responsible for fostering many activities related to livestock. And SENASA, it is the health surveillance agency, and they create the requisites, the guidelines, the standards. In terms of the importing of semen and embryos, their annual average of importing is 250,000 doses of bovine semen, and the countries that most export to them are the USA and Canada, frozen semen from Austria, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and this represents a market of $3 million with a huge potential, and it can expand. And so where can we participate, we as Brazil? So Brazil has had an open market since 2019 for bovine embryos to export to Peru. And so to export bovine semen from Brazil to Peru, the market is open, but we are updating that now. That is an ongoing work that we're doing. We're working jointly with the ABCZ so that we can update our protocols, okay? They need a few tweaks, a few adjustments, so that we can identify diseases from the donors. And we have great expectations that we're going to have a protocol that is going to be able to be adopted by Brazil, and we're going to be able to continue exporting to Peru. And live animals being exported from Brazil to Peru, we are still analyzing the risk. And with the improvement of the sanitary situation in Brazil, this is going to favor more and more the opening of this market, because Peru is a country that does not have foot-to-mouth disease. And regarding opportunities, so we have some clear opportunities to export genetic material to Peru, semen and embryos, to export live animals, cattle and horses, to export beef and poultry, to export dairy products, to sell maize and soybeans, to sell pasture seeds, to sell agricultural machinery and equipment, to export our products to other countries via the Interocean Highway, and also to bring rural extension and technical assistance to Peru. And taking advantage of this opportunity, Isi, I would like to raise this awareness. Maybe in the future we can bring to Peru the Zebu Integrate. The Zebu Integrate, which was a very, very good and successful case in Brazil. Thank you so much. Your presentation was brilliant, Angela. Thank you, thank you. It's wonderful to see that Brazil has so many opportunities. We can exchange, we can have an exchange with that country. So you have shared with us precious information, and I'm truly sure, and I'm really sure that a lot of more work is forecasted so that we can meet these demands. And we're going to continue here, working hard, and I know that we can count on you. You are dear friends of ours, high-quality professionals. You are experts, and thank you so much for your dedication, your work, in the work that you do in Peru, in India, and also we thank you for your dedication and for efforts and for having created such wonderful presentations. I have to confess that I wanted to talk to you for a long time, but so unfortunately we have gone over our time. So thank you so much for your presentation, and we hope that soon we are going to be able to have another virtual activity, welcome you, and Even better, I would like to receive you face to face here so that we can work together, so that you can get to know our house, the Zibo house, our home. Thank you so much for your dedication and your work. And thank you for all of the opportunities you have shared with us. Great health to you both, and see you. See you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful, right? How many opportunities do we have? And we're going to continue enjoying them. Our time is over, so see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. in the Farm 2 event. And at 6 p.m. tomorrow again, and we're going to talk about rational management. See you tomorrow. Bye.